Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be talking about 20 of the United States presidential assassination and assassination attempts throughout history. Now, we're not going to get political on this one, but I will say this. With the upcoming US election, it is very important to exercise your right to vote. Before I vote, I always like to read the plan of the person in whom I'm going to be voting for and make sure it falls in line with the things that I'm looking for. And if that does for you, then that is who you should vote for, and nobody should tell you otherwise. Now, let's dive into this video. Let's learn a little bit about history. And as always, guys, if you have any comments or anything, shout out down below. I love hearing from you. And let's dive into today's video. I love when you start a video and you get a match on Tinder. We'll deal with that later. Okay, anyways, so researching this video, I was kind of thrown back at how many attempts and assassinations there have been on US presidents throughout history. There are a lot more, like I said, that I'm covering today, but we're going to talk about 20 of them that I just picked that I found interesting for different reasons. But yeah, we're kind of going to go in chronological order here. So I'm going to start with Andrew Jackson. Now, Andrew Jackson was the 7th president of the United States. The assassination attempt on Andrew Jackson occurred on January 30th of 1835, making him the first sitting US president to face an assassination attempt. The event unfolded during a funeral for a congressman in Washington, D.C., when a man named Richard Lawrence approached Jackson as he was leaving the Capitol. Now, Richard Lawrence was a failed house painter who believed he was the rightful king of England. He aimed to kill Jackson due to a mix of personal delusions and also political grievances. Lawrence pulled out 2 pistols and fired both at Jackson. However, both did miss fire, leading to no injuries. This malfunction attributed to either poor maintenance of the firearms or perhaps a fortunate coincidence for Jackson. Following the failed attempt, Jackson reportedly confronted Lawrence, attacking him with his cane until others subdued the assailant. Lawrence was later deemed insane and committed to a mental institution. Now, the next one on our list is someone who I knew about this one for a long time. For me, at least, it was definitely the most famous one, but that was Abraham Lincoln. Now, he was the 16th president of the United States, and unfortunately, he was assassinated. The assassination happened on April 14th of 1865. The assassin was a man named John Booth. He was an actor and a Confederate sympathizer. Now, Booth believed that Lincoln's policies during and after the Civil War were destroying the South. During a performance of Our American Cousin at the Ford Theater, Booth entered Lincoln's private box and shot him in the back of the head. Booth had fled the scene, but was later tracked down and killed by Union soldiers. Now, Lincoln did die the following morning. The assassination was part of a larger conspiracy to kill the Vice President, Andrew Johnson, and Secretary of State, William Seward, I believe it's pronounced, though those attempts did fail. I definitely remember growing up and hearing about Abraham Lincoln so much, especially the assassination with Booth. I know that there have been many TV shows and movies kind of portraying that incident, so I think that's kind of why that sticks out to me the most. And I don't know how to pronounce that last name.
The following pronunciation.
The next on the list is the 20th President of the United States, James A. Garfield. Now, unfortunately, he was also assassinated. The assassination took place on July 2nd of 1881. Now, the assassin's name is Charles J. Guiteau. Charles was upset after being denied a federal job and believed that God had told him to kill Garfield in order to save the country. We'll leave that alone. He shot Garfield at the Pennsylvania Railroad Station in Washington, D.C. Garfield was not killed by the bullet directly, but suffered from poor medical care, as doctors probed his wounds with unsterilized instruments. Now, he died from infections as well as blood poisoning on September 19th, 1881, after 11 weeks of suffering. I cannot even imagine that. just, oh my God, like 11 weeks of torture and going through all that. And then unfortunately passed away because of that. William McKinley is the next on the list, and he was the 25th president of the United States. The incident happened on September 6th of 1901. The assassin was Leon Czolgosz, probably pronouncing that wrong, and he was an anarchist. Leon approached McKinley while he was shaking hands with the public at the Pan American Exposition in Buffalo, New York. He had concealed a revolver in a handkerchief and shot the president twice in the abdomen. McKinley initially appeared to recover, however, he had developed gangrene from his wounds and died on September 4th of 1901. Leon believed that killing McKinley would advance anarchist causes and end what he viewed as government oppression. So now would be a good time to talk about the United States Secret Service. Now, the United States Secret Service, or USSS, was established on July 5th of 1865. Originally under the Department of Treasury, with the primary mission of combating counterfeit currency. Now, this was a major problem after the Civil War. At the time, an estimated 1/3 of all US currency in circulation was counterfeit. The Secret Service did not originally protect the president. It began providing protection for American presidents after the assassination of William McKinley in 1901, making presidential security a permanent part of their mission. And in 1902, after McKinley's death, Congress formally authorized the Secret Service to protect the sitting president. Over time, the protection role expanded to include vice presidents, president-elects, and foreign leaders visiting the US. Now, the Secret Service's role grew in response to several high-profile assassinations and assassination attempts, including those of John F. Kennedy and Ronald Reagan, which we will get to shortly. And in 2003, the Secret Service was transferred to the Department of Homeland Security. However, they do to this day continue to go after financial crimes. Today, the Secret Service has dual missions: safeguarding the US financial system from counterfeiting and fraud, and protecting national leaders and visiting foreign dignitaries. The agency is known for its rigorous protection protocols, technological advancements, and establishing high security parameters for events and presidential travel. Let's get back to the list. The next on the list is Theodore Roosevelt, who was the 26th president of the United States. The date of the assassination was October 24th of 1912. The assassin's name was John Flaming Shrink. He was a saloon keeper. Now, John claimed that the ghost of William McKinley had instructed him to kill Roosevelt, who was running for president again as a third-party candidate. John shot Roosevelt in the chest before a campaign speech in Milwaukee. However, the bullet was slowed down by a 50-page speech and a metal glass case that Roosevelt had kept in his breast pocket. Now, despite the wounds, Roosevelt insisted on giving his 90-minute speech before seeking medical treatment. He survived with the bullet lodged in his body for the rest of his life. Can you imagine getting shot and then going up and giving a 90-minute speech? I don't have words for that. That is absolutely incredible. Political stuff aside, that man got shot, got up in front of a crowd of people afterwards, no fear, and continued to give his speech. And that is incredible. My hat goes off to him. Incredible. All I can say. The next on the list is the 33rd President of the United States, Harry S. Truman. Now, the date of this happened on November 1st of 1950. The assassins' names, and I can't pronounce one of them, so guys, I'm sorry. It's just, my Spanish is not that great, and I tried. Listen to this. I want you to listen to how this one name is pronounced, okay? And you tell me if you think I was able to do this.
Griselio Torresola.
I digress. Oscar Collazo and, hold on,
Griselio Torresola.
were Puerto Rican nationalists. Now, Collazo and
Griselio Torresola
wanted to bring attention to the cause of Puerto Rican independence from the United States. They attempted to assassinate Truman while he was staying at the Blair House, the temporary residence of the president during the White House renovations. Now,
Griselio Torresola
shot a police officer before being killed by another officer, and Collazo was wounded and captured. Truman was inside the Blair House at the time and was unharmed, and Colazio's death sentence was later commuted to life imprisonment. The next on the list is, just like Lincoln for me, someone that I heard a lot about growing up, and that is none other than the 35th President of the United States, John F. Kennedy. And let me know down below if you want me to do a whole other video on the Kennedy family, because that is also a insane story. So, John F. Kennedy. The date was November 22nd of 1963. The assassin's name was Lee Harvey Oswald, a former Marine and defector to the Soviet Union. Kennedy was shot while riding in a motorcade throughout Dealey Plaza in Dallas, Texas. Oswald fired 3 shots from a Texas school book depository building, hitting Kennedy in the back of the head. Oswald was arrested shortly after the assassination, but was killed 2 days later by a nightclub owner named Jack Ruby while being transferred between jails. Now, Oswald's motives remain unclear to this day. His actions have been the subject of numerous conspiracy theories. The Warren Commission concluded that Oswald acted alone. Our next president is the 37th President of the United States, Richard Nixon. The date of Nixon's assassination attempt was February 22nd of 1974. The assassin, Samuel Bike, a mentally ill man. This one's wild. So, Bike planned to hijack a plane and crash it into the White House in an attempt to kill Nixon. He believed the government was corrupt and that his act would spark a revolution. Bike hijacked a plane at the Baltimore-Washington International Airport, but was shot by police before the plane could even take off. Unfortunately, he killed 2 people in the attempt, including the pilot, and during the attempt he ended up taking his own life. Now, this next one is crazy. This one president had 2 assassination attempts, and I am talking about none other than the 38th President of the United States, Gerald Ford. Now, this will also be our final president we talk about in part 1 of this series. The first attempt occurred on September 5th of 1975 by a woman named Lynette Squeaky Firm, a follower of Charles Manson. Lynette had approached Ford with a .45 caliber pistol in Sacramento, California, intending to shoot him. However, Secret Service agents quickly subdued her before she could fire. Lynette later claimed she wanted to make a statement about environmental issues. The second attempt occurred just 2 weeks later on September 22nd of 1975. The assassin's name was Sarah Jane Moore, a radical leftist. Sarah fired a shot at Ford outside his hotel in San Francisco. However, the bullet did miss due to a bystander, Oliver Sipple, I believe it's pronounced, who actually grabbed her arm as she was firing the bullet. And interestingly, Sarah had been previously under FBI surveillance, but had recently been dropped from their watch list. Alright guys, that's enough assassinations for one day. Thank you for joining me on part 1. Part 2, we have a lot more that we're going to be diving into, like Jimmy Carter, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, and yes, I will be covering the 3 assassination attempts on Donald Trump that happened this year. The presidential election is days away. Get out there and vote. Your vote matters. And I cannot wait to see you guys on the next one in 1 week. And until then, guys, have a great week ahead, and I will see you on part 2. Bye.